This is the PropTech VC podcast. We give you unique insights into how innovative technologies are disrupting real estate. We interview top entrepreneurs, investors, and knowledgeable experts to share the inside scoop in this fast-moving industry. It's hosted by leading PropTech VC, Zain Jaffer. Let's dive into today's content.
Let's talk about AI and data then. So we're living in a fascinating time. You are a startup that's fully about data and allowing the user to use that data intelligently. Where do you think things are going to go with regards to the availability of data in PropTech? And specifically for DealCheck, what are some of the major breakthrough areas you see that data can do for folks like yourself in property analysis?
You know, the biggest, I would say, one of the biggest bottlenecks that I've always seen, and we've encountered this with DealCheck, is actually the MLS system in the United States. You're probably familiar. It's an archaic, decade-old system. Not only that, but it's segmented into states, cities, little municipalities with their own kind of data center, their own formatting, their own data control. And if you're building an application, for example, like DealCheck that needs to work nationwide and needs access to the data, it's an absolute nightmare. Especially if you're trying to go get this data from each individual MLS, that for a company of our size, that's basically impossible. So we would have to rely on some sort of aggregate data provider, another company. For example, similar to Zillow, that aggregates all this data and has the resources to pull it into one centralized data source. So if I was to name one kind of disruption or one big trend that I personally would like to see in the property tech industry, even though I may not be able to help with our DealCheck platform, it would be to somehow centralize, or I would say abolish the MLS system. I mean, some agents are probably out there listening, screaming to me, but I don't really see a big need for it. I don't see why kind of the property market can't be more transparent. I don't see why you need an agent license to access listings on the MLS or any of that. I think that whole framework, that whole system can be unified, centralized in one, and I frankly think that data should be free. It should be not only free but publicly accessible. You should be able to go and look on the MLS, in San Francisco, and I should be able to look in San Diego, because there's just no reason why. It's probably, there's probably some money involved for the agents and the licensing certifications, and you got to be a licensed agent to get access to our data. But to me, that's kind of the old way of doing things, and I think you will really see a lot of companies kind of sprout forth in the property tech industry and be able to do really cool things, like you said, with machine learning, data analytics. If this, because MLS to me is like one of the fundamental data sources in real estate. It's where all the listings are. It's where historic sales are. It's kind of the, some of the original data that you need to perform downstream calculation, like predicting price trends or doing property analysis like we're doing. So that's probably one area where I would really like to see forth. So if you and your venture capitalist friends are looking to invest, man, I would say if there is a startup out there that is focusing on kind of aggregating or getting rid of or replacing the MLS system in America to make this data accessible, either free or extremely low cost for everybody else, I would be all behind that, because it's been just such a pain from my experience building DealCheck, but also from my experience with investing in real estate. If I want to look at properties in Atlanta that are actually listed on the MLS, I need to go and contact an agent or get my own license, and to me that's just crazy for the 21st century, if you ask me.
This is the hallmark of what makes for such an opportunity for disruption, when you've got one large legacy player that's almost created an institution right?
Exactly.
Where people have to follow these archaic rituals and tools. It reminds me, although the taxi industry was more fragmented, but we had the taxi industry that was so powerful. In the health industry, you have Epic, which is sort of the big database that people and hospitals use. And although they're much more progressive than something like the MLS, though it surprises me that we still are here in 2020 and we're talking about this problem. In San Francisco, we've taken a bit of an interesting step where off-market listings on the residential sides are banned. You now have to list them on MLS. You can't market a property offline. So if anything, MLS is becoming even more and more entrenched and powerful with the agents. In the advertising industry that I came from when we disrupted that, the agents had a lot of power. And I've seen companies like even the Trade Desk that have come in and have really displaced that. Trade Desk now is worth tens of billions. And there will be a huge deca-billion-dollar company in PropTech that can solve this problem. I think the way you're going naturally will get you there. It's like how Uber has focused on the need of the user, right? Eventually the users need Uber, and if you can become the platform, the portal through which real estate developers do their property analysis. And by the way, in real estate, as you said, you make your money before you buy. So if you can be the tool they use, they'll naturally drag you everywhere.